Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm starting a new series called 5-Minute Bible Study. I'm going to be doing it in Jonah, verse 1, and I'm doing it from the New King James Version if you want to follow along. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. So here we see God wanting to use Jonah. God wants to use Jonah to go to Nineveh to give them a second chance. Our God is a God of second chances. He knows that the Ninevites are wicked, and God wants to give them that chance, so he tells Jonah to go to be that messenger, but Jonah runs the other direction. And even when we see Jonah running the other direction, he tries to flee, and he even tries to pay. He tries to pay to flee the presence of God, which obviously you cannot do. You can't go anywhere that God doesn't know. And that's a good thing, and we should find comfort in that anywhere we go, God goes with us. But Jonah, he had his other reasons, but I'm speaking as far as us. Sometimes we flee because we don't feel equipped enough. We don't feel good enough. We don't feel worthy enough. And I want to tell you that if God wants you to do something, he wants you to do it because he has a purpose and a reason for it. And on the other side of your obedience, when he's asking you to do something, there's going to be something great waiting for you on the other side. Maybe it's something for you. Maybe it's something for someone else. Maybe it's both. But ultimately, we want to do it to glorify God because we want to be obedient and we want to give him all the praise and all the glory. So whenever he asks us to do something, don't forget that it's the enemy that tries to make you think that you can't do it. He tries to tell you how you're not good enough or you're not equipped enough. And that's because he knows whatever God's having you do, it's good and it's for a good purpose. He's going to turn it all together for good. And so the enemy doesn't want you to do whatever it is God's asking you to do. Don't listen to him. Walk towards whatever you're afraid of, whatever God is calling you to do, whatever you're scared to do, walk towards it and do it anyways. Do it even if you're afraid, because there's a good reason for it. So here we see Jonah. He flees and he even pays to get away from God. But what does God do? He doesn't turn around and say, Jonah, you don't want to be used. I'm not going to use you. I'll get someone else. No, that's not what God does. Our God, he goes after Jonah, and in a good and in a loving way. He doesn't go after him to hurt him. He goes after him because he wants to use him. It's like he's saying, Jonah, I know you don't want to be used. I know you ran from me because you don't want me to do this. You don't want to be used. You don't want me to use you for this. But I'm coming anyways because I still want to use you. Even though you're being disobedient, even though you're not listening to what I want you to do, I'm still going to chase after you out of love because this is the purpose and this is what I've called you to do. And so he goes after Jonah. And I find it so amazing that even though we sometimes turn from God when he tells us to do something, that he still chases after us and he still wants us even in our disobedience. And I find that so amazing how merciful that our God is and how faithful that he is even when we're not faithful to him. And so he goes after Jonah. And then we also see, it says, but the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. Sometimes God does things to get our attention. Sometimes it takes God breaking apart or almost breaking apart our ship so that he gets our attention. And he didn't do it out of, he didn't want to hurt Jonah. He didn't do it out of hate or out of malice or out of anger. He did it because he was trying to genuinely get Jonah's attention because he wanted to use him. And so this is what he used to get his attention. And we see later on the other things that he uses, the fish. I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of the book of Jonah. So we'll get more into that later on, but I wanted to do just a quick little 5-minute study so you can learn a little bit and hopefully you learn something from it. I want to end with just saying, if God is asking you to do something, don't be too afraid to do it. Because like I said, on the other side of that obedience, you're going to find your purpose. And on the other side of fear, you're going to find something so great on the other side that you wouldn't otherwise know or see if you didn't obey. If you turn and you run like Jonah did, you're not going to see what God has in store for you on the other side of the obedience, on the other side of the fear. And when you get there and when you get to see exactly what God had in store for you, that obedience is going to be more than worth the pain of the fear and whatever else it was causing you. Is going to be worth all of that, because there's going to be such a great blessing for you, for others, and ultimately, like I said, to glorify God. So don't be afraid. Don't turn from whatever you're afraid of. Go towards it, knowing that the enemy is going to try to deter you, because God's got something so great planned for you, and you're never going to get to see it unless you push through that fear and push through what you're afraid of and do what God is calling and what God is asking you to do. That's all I have for today. So thank you guys so much for listening.